Okay, so we're going to go over the assignment from today. We're going to go over the 3 types of figurative language that we're really focusing on in this lesson, and we're going to do a couple from each page. That way, if you need to do your retake, you can view this video before you go back in to correct your mistakes. Now, the first type of figurative language that we're reviewing is similes. So our author uses similes throughout our text. Now, similes are a great way to make what you read more interesting, right? It's better to compare it so that you have a visual in your head than just being direct with the description. That can get kind of boring. So authors often use these types of figurative language. So a simile is when they compare two unlike things. So this is really important that they're comparing things that are not like one another except for in one really important way. So maybe it's the color, or maybe it's how they move or how they act. So you're going to find two unlike things being compared to one another. So the thing that makes a simile, right, is that it uses the words like or as. So this separates it from, say, a metaphor. So a simile compares two unlike things using the words like or as to compare the two things. So let's look at the example here. It says, Lucy sings like a bird. So I see the word like. Now, here's one very important thing I need to talk about. We want to make sure that when we're identifying the two things being compared, or the two words being compared, that we're looking at nouns. Now, a noun, for those of you who might have forgotten, is a person, place, or thing. Okay, so we're comparing two nouns every time we're answering this question. Anytime we're asked, what are the two words being compared, and we're talking about a simile or a metaphor, it is going to be nouns that we're talking about, that we're identifying. So, for example, sings. Sings is a verb. It's an action. You can't compare sings to anything, right? It's just describing what Lucy is doing here. So Lucy sings like a bird. What we're comparing is Lucy to the bird. What makes her like a bird is that they both sing, okay? So that's really important you understand that we're looking at the two nouns. For example, let's look at Sam's raincoat was as yellow as a lemon, right? We see the word as. We know that as means that we're talking about a simile because we're comparing two unlike things. What are the two unlike things? So we see the word Sam's. We know Sam is a noun, right? It is a proper noun. But as we look here, this is a possessive noun, meaning it has ownership. We're not going to compare a possessive noun with another thing. What does he own? What is that item? That item is the raincoat. So Sam's raincoat. We're looking at the noun raincoat, okay? It was as yellow as a lemon. So we're comparing raincoat to yellow. Are we comparing raincoat to yellow? Yellow is a color, right? It's an adjective. It's a description word. So we're not comparing raincoat to yellow. What was the raincoat yellow like? Well, it was like a lemon, or it was as yellow as a lemon. Is lemon a noun? Person, place, or thing? Absolutely, a lemon is a thing. So we're comparing the raincoat to the lemon, okay? So let's look at number 1. It says, Maria was as graceful as a swan. Maria is my proper noun here. What is Maria being compared to? She's being compared to a swan, right? Because she's graceful like one. So the description word, graceful, it's my adjective. That's not a noun, so that can't be what's being compared. But Maria is, and swan is. She is like a swan because she is graceful. So let's look at number 2. Laura's lips were as red as a cherry. Laura is a proper noun, but remember, it's possessive. So what does she possess? Well, her lips. So her lips were as red as a cherry. So her lips were like what? A cherry. So we would click here. We will write lips. And her lips are being compared to cherry because cherries are red and her lips are red. Tony ran like a cheetah. So like is signaling to me that this is a simile. Tony is my noun. What is Tony like? he is like the cheetah. So I'm going to write cheetah. Okay. The library was as quiet as a graveyard. The library was as quiet as a graveyard. What is the person, place, or thing? The library. What is the library being compared to? It is being compared to a graveyard because they're both eerily quiet, right? They're quiet. Oops, sorry. Graveyard. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. I think you have an idea of what we're doing now. If you have to go in and correct, go ahead and ask yourself, what is the noun? What is the noun? What's being compared? All right. So remember, possessive. If it's possessive, we're looking at what comes after that. Okay. Now, oops, sorry. At the bottom here, I already did number 1 for the small group. So complete each simile with the word from the box, meaning I'm going to look at this list of words here. I'm going to see which one is like the other noun. What are 2 unlike things, but what's something that it might have in common with my noun here? So we're looking at the dog. The dog was as black as, I chose the word coal because I'm comparing the dog to an unlike thing. The characteristic that they'll share is that they are black. So the dog was as black as coal. And I just used the process of elimination. Which one makes the most sense here? Let's look at number 2. Joni was walking as slow as a, I'm going to compare Joni to one of these words here. And it's because she's walking slow. So what other item in this list walks really slow? Thunder, no. Marshmallows, they don't walk. Turtles, do turtles walk slow? Yes, we know lots about turtles. They're typically characterized for being slow. So Joni was walking as slow as a turtle. Is Joni and the turtle 2 unlike things? Yes. Do they both have walking slow in common? Yes, that correctly answers this question. Elena's eyes were shining like the, okay, so we're comparing, not Elena, we're comparing her eyes, right? We see that possessive noun here. Her eyes were shining like the, okay, what is something that might shine bright that we can compare her eyes to? Thunder, maybe. You know, thunder's bright, it flashes. But let's see if there's, oh, that's lightning. Ha, no, thunder makes the sound. Sorry, that one can't be right. Marshmallows, they're not bright. They're delicious, but they're not bright. Turtle, we've already used it. Boats, that doesn't really work. We've already used coal. Ice cream, while delicious, it does not shine. But sun does, right? Sun's really bright. Her eyes might shine like the sun. So you are going to continue filling in this chart using these words. And hopefully now you have a better understanding. Let's look at metaphors. Now, metaphors are the other type of figurative language that we see a lot throughout this story. And we want to make sure that we understand what a metaphor is. So a metaphor compares to unlike things, just like a simile, except we don't use the words like or as, all right? Oftentimes we see the word is, like we're saying one thing is something else, okay? So let's look, and the objective for this is that we want to tell us, what does it mean? What does the metaphor mean? And we're going to put it into those words. So it says, Dad is a bear in the morning. That means that Dad is grumpy in the morning, right? Because bears are typically angry and grumpy, and they don't really like people. So a dad being a bear in the morning means that he's probably kind of grumpy when he first wakes up. So that one was already done. I did that in our small groups this morning. For those of you who joined, you got that help this morning. So number 2, my brother is a night owl. Now, we're comparing her brother, or my brother, whoever it is, to a night owl. Now we know that now owls come out at night, that they that they come out at night, that they're nocturnal, meaning they sleep during the day. So what does this suggest about her brother? Well, it might mean that her brother, or his or her brother, I'm going to say her brother likes the night, right? He might like the night. Maybe he's someone who gets all his work done at night, right? Because he enjoys being up late. The nurse was an angel. So the nurse, I'm comparing a nurse to an angel. This might suggest, right? What do you think of when you think of an angel? Angels might be nice, caring, compassionate, whatever. Any positive quality would work here. So the nurse was or is very kind or helpful, right? Any positive quality would really work for number 3. This one's a little more open-ended. So you'll do this. Kenny is such a pig. You see how we're saying one thing is something else. Kenny is a pig. So this could mean lots of different things. Maybe they're talking about he doesn't clean very well. He doesn't keep a tidy room. Maybe he's not a very nice guy. Maybe he eats a lot. So any type of, remember when we're analyzing these metaphors, using them in context is really important. So there's a few, it varies on what you might want to say here, but basically I'm going to say Kenny is a slob, right? Maybe he's a slob. He doesn't pick up after himself. He's messy. He's a pig. Okay? So you're going to continue and you're going to go through the rest of these and tell me what each of them mean. This one's pretty straightforward, but it's really important that you understand when you're telling me what one means, that you identify the two things that are being compared. And with a metaphor, you have to say, what might they have in common, right? What might these two nouns have in common? Kenny and pig. What do they have in common? Maybe they're both slobs, right? So that's what I would put here. Now this last one, or this second to last one, is you are going to be telling me, is it a metaphor or a simile, or is it neither of these things, right? So remember, they're both used to compare two things that are not alike in most ways, but are similar or important in one way. So a simile uses like or as, a metaphor does not. So let's see. Talia's eyes were as bright as the sun. Well, I know that I'm using the word I'm using the word as. Is it a simile? Is it comparing two unlike things? It's comparing Talia's eyes, so it's comparing eyes to the sun because they're both bright. That's very similar to the simile we had above where it said that they shone like the sun, or shining like the sun. So this would be simile. Dad was like a big teddy bear. So this one is trying to trick you. I'm going to tell you why. You know how when we talked about a metaphor, we say it's saying one thing is something else. And a lot of times when we were looking at those metaphors, it would say so-and-so was this or is this. But here we have was followed by this word right here, like. Okay, this word like, even though was is here, this word like tells me that it might be a simile. Let's see. Dad was like a big teddy bear. So dad is being compared to a teddy bear. What might they have in common? Well, they might be cuddly and sweet and comforting. So that would be a simile because it's using like or as. Okay? So you're going to go through and you are going to continue looking to see, is it a simile, a metaphor, or is it neither? Okay? You want to make sure that you continue to look. Now here's one I want to point out, number 15. It says the nail is hard and shiny. So remember, a metaphor is saying one thing is something else. However, here we're saying the nail is hard and shiny. Those are adjectives. There is not another noun that the nail is being compared to. So this means that this will be neither. Remember, we must be comparing one object with another, or one person with an object, or so on. So it should be a noun being compared to another noun, person, place, or thing. Here we have a noun, but it's not really being compared to anything else. It's just being described as hard and shiny. Those are adjectives. So this is neither a simile or a metaphor. So once you finish this, one's pretty straightforward. You can move on to our last worksheet, which is what is personification, right? We spent a lot of time on personification this year. This book uses personification pretty much in every single chapter that we come across. So, personification is giving human qualities, actions, feelings, or thoughts to non-human objects. So remember, if you ever forget what personification is, remember the word person. It's human, right? So we're giving human qualities or person-like qualities to non-human objects, okay? So, the wilted flowers begged for water. So, the object is flowers, not wilted, just flowers. All right, wilted describes the type of flowers, but really we want to isolate that noun, okay? So the flowers we're going to cover in green because that's the object. They begged for water. Can flowers beg? No, they are not a person. They don't have words. They can't ask you for something, right? So flowers begging for water, that begged is the human characteristic that they gave the flowers. This allows the reader to visualize the urgency or the fact that the waters really needed the water, right? So it just intensifies the author's words. The nail waited in fear for the next blow. So the nail is the object that I've highlighted. Waited is the action, feeling, or thoughts given to this object. Nails can't wait, right? Waiting in fear, you could even say that. However, that just describes how it was waiting, but nails can't wait. They don't think, they can't think ahead, so they don't actually wait. They're just an object. Waited is my personification. The tired old shoes wanted only to rest in the closet. So, where is my noun? Well, I'm going to take this green here. The noun are the shoes. Now, why isn't it tired old shoes? Well, it's not tired old shoes being highlighted here because tired and old are adjectives. They are describing what kind of shoes they are. They're not really what is being personified. That's just the noun is the shoes. What kind of shoes? Well, they're tired and old. But we want to only isolate the object being personified. So, can shoes want? No, they cannot want. Now, one thing that I saw as I was looking through some of these is some people clicked on rest, where I get why you would do that, but remember, it's typically going to follow that immediately. The personification is going to really follow your noun. Yes, resting is personification. It's not something that shoes can actually do. But what does it want? Well, it wants to rest. Wanting is the initial piece of personification, is the initial action word that the shoes cannot do. We'll talk about prepositional phrases and what maybe in another lesson. But really what I want you to understand while you're completing this is shoes object will be followed almost directly by that verb that is being personified. Remember, feelings, actions, thoughts. So you might have either an adverb or a verb or an adverb following that noun. So let's look at number 4. The ripe red strawberries smiled up at me from their bowl. What is the object? Take a second, think about it. Is it the ripe? Is ripe an object? No. Ripe is an adjective. Red, is that a noun? No, that is an adjective. What are they describing? They're describing the strawberries. Are strawberries a noun? So are strawberries a person, place, or thing? Yes, let me grab my green, bring it over here to strawberries. Strawberries are definitely nouns. They are a thing. Smiled up at me from their bowl. Now, smiled. Can strawberries smile? No. So smiling is something that people can do, but strawberries can't. It's a verb. So strawberries smiled. I'm highlighting the word smiled. Okay. I'm going to do one more from here because I think this is the one we had the most trouble with. The earth felt she had nothing left to give. So what is my subject or my noun? The earth. The earth. So earth is that noun. What is the human characteristic or that verb that the earth can't actually do but humans can? Well, it would be felt. The earth felt. That is that noun. That is that verb. Humans cannot feel. Humans can feel, the earth cannot. Okay, so hopefully that has been helpful. And let me make sure. Yeah, so pretty much they all kind of follow that same trend. We have our noun followed directly by what? The verb, the personification, okay? So make sure that you are completing the rest of this sheet if you were asked. Now let's look here. This is the very last worksheet. Most of us did pretty well on here, okay? So you're just circling yes or no. I'm not going to do a lot of these, and most of you got this correct. So the train waited patiently for the passengers to board. So the train waited. Now this is where we want to talk about personification, okay? So trains can wait. They can wait, but it's how it waited patiently. Right? Can it wait patiently? A train either waits or it doesn't. It doesn't have a feeling. It can't wait impatiently because it doesn't get upset, right? So this is an example of personification, right? That one was a little tricky. Maria gathered the beautiful flowers in the morning light. Is this one personification? So we're talking about Maria. She gathered some flowers. Is anything being personified? We would be looking to the noun that's not a proper noun because this is a person. We would be looking to the item, which are the flowers. Are they being personified? They are not. So this is no. No one wanted to read the tired old books. No one wanted to read the tired old books. Now, this is one that tries to trick you as well. So what is the thing? It's the books that we're really talking about. No one is actually there. That's people. So that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the books. Were the books personified? Some would say yes, because they see it says the tired old books. But the way that this sentence is written, it's not saying that these books are actually tired, like falling asleep, right? It's simply, they're just ratted. They're ratty, right? They're not actually sleepy books. They're just old books. So this would be no. Oop. Okay, and you're going to do this for the rest of the assignment. You're going to complete the rest of these. Then you're just going to choose the correct one. Which one would make the most sense? The hot sun was shining down at us, or the hot sun was glaring at us. Both of them make sense, but which one of these words can a person do? A person can most definitely glare, but they can't really shine. So I would come in here and I would type glaring. Okay, and you'd finish this one to finish the personification. So you need to make sure that you thoroughly understand that if you are someone who needs to do corrections, make sure that you took notes on this video, go back in, make those corrections and submit them. Remember, you have 2 days to make resubmissions. After those 2 days, we will no longer be grading exit tickets that are resubmitted. Okay, so I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope that this was helpful.